Yo, Pierre, you want to come out here?
NANI?!
The two comic books that I had read this week was Boku no Hero and Super. I guess I made the tragic mistake, I made the tragic mistake of updating one of the places I go to read my comic book, and because of that, I lost, like, they immediately blocked all, like, the comic books from overseas. Rest in peace to Kiss Anime and that other anime that got blocked recently. It's kind of like, I get it, you want to pay for people's stuff, but, like, if you wanted to really, like, pay for it, the English subs and dub is, you're paying for timing, I think, more than anything. Because, like, if you go on the internet within an hour of it releasing in Japan or wherever it's released, you're gonna get spoiled, and, like, that's just something you have to come to terms with, or you just have to get the quick translators. But, like, there's always someone on Twitter who's translating these things, and they're doing God's work. But now I gotta find a new like translator. Like, oh, I also watched the OVAs for Boku no Hero, the survival arc one. Which let's talk about that one first, actually. And spoilers for all of this, guys. So if you haven't, actually, we'll go non-spoilers first and then spoilers. That way, I can't be accused of, like, spoiling something for you. So non-spoilers. So Boku no Hero is on. It's not on hiatus. It's they're currently, like, creating season 5 and doing stuff. And I don't think it was Studio Bones that did this. I didn't check, but if they did, it's not like there was a drop off in quality. It was just actually, I can't even say it was a drop off in quality. This wasn't an action packed episode. This was a divided up episode. So to start, they're basically right around the part where it's after season 4, but before the second movie, I believe. And they're still just, like, training, or even sooner than that. I think because some of them haven't got their hero license yet. Okay, yeah. Now I remember. They're basically training for their hero license. So that's so, like, Aizawa is taking them out to, like, this place where they're gonna get to practice rescuing. So basically, he's, like, giving them a mock trial of what to expect from their hero not hero, of course, but to get their license. And it's pretty interesting because you'd clearly feel like the way the teams are divided, and this is something I didn't like about the OVAs. It's a 2-part OVA, but there's something I didn't really like about the OVA, which was a lot of the Boku no Hero does a really good job of spreading out the story. You might not get 60 seconds of each character, but every character, like, their moment to shine, they shine. And some people might not like that. Some people might disagree with that. But at least they get an opportunity to shine. That this is not the case in this OVA, which I found to be really strange because there was two. It's 2 OVAs in one. So, like, why couldn't they make time? Why couldn't they make time for these extra characters? But that's neither here or there. If you like certain characters, who's a character that got 0, and you want to know something, this is just further proof why they probably didn't get time, because I don't know their names, but I can't describe them. And Bushy Tail Kid wasn't there. The Invisible Girl was there the whole time, but you'll never know because she's invisible and she didn't talk. So take that with a grain of salt. Also, someone would, like, I feel was super, like, useful. Jiro, the earplug girl, she definitely deserves a lot more notoriety or more attention, but she didn't get that in this episode, and I found that to be kind of strange. Uh, but once again, I'm being picky. Like, hey, it's content. Take it or leave it. So I'm gonna take it. So basically, he divides the class up, and he divides the class up. He literally puts the big three together. He got Deku, Bakugo, and Shoto all together on one team, along with Lita, Froggy, or Sue. I remember that. Her name is escaping me, but the Kirby looking girl, I know her name. It's gonna come to me, and I'm gonna say Uraraka, Gravity, Gravity. They put Creation. They put all of them on the same team. So and no, there's actually Demkeys on this team, and Red Riot is on this team. It's a stacked team. The class is basically divided into two. So they are stacked. Like, and I feel like Boku no Hero does a really good job of like combining heroes, because like certain combos of heroes you just don't I don't think they could lose. And actually, I take that back. We'll talk about that in the comic book section, but this is still the non-spoiler part for the OVAs. So basically, they're tasked with the job of saving somebody, and I really enjoyed this because it was created tension that I still fell for. There's certain level, like when you do OVAs that are in the past prequels, it's hard for you to actually garner tension because I saw the end of season 4. I know everyone survived. So there's no amount of tension you can really put into this that's going to make me think otherwise. But that's where you're wrong. I caught myself having to remind myself halfway through one of the action sequences that no, everyone survived. Like, it was a reassurance for me, and I really like that. That means they were able. That's a sign of good writing, period. For me to know, that, oh, these people are fine. They are going to be fine. I don't need to worry. And still they managed to garner concern out of me. That's a sign of good writing. And I have to commend that. At no point did I ever think to myself, man, what are they going to do next? And I'll talk about it in the spoiler parts. There's a point in the story where you're like, wait, is this canon anymore? Because stuff gets real. But pushing forward, that is sort of the setup. There's only really two settings. There's in the hazard zone and out of the hazard zone. And while they're in the hazard zone, they're basically tasked with saving somebody, one lone person at the bottom of a mall. That's a mall that's halfway underground and a mall that's halfway above ground. And it's fairly simple on the outlook. They know where the person is. They know how to get to them. It's just getting there and going. And I think they do a really good job of showing their strengths and weaknesses, and also their current growth development. I don't like when characters go backwards just for the sake of a story plot or point. Bakugo is still Bakugo. You can imagine Lita is still Lita. And those are two interactions I rarely see. Creation, who is, I don't know her name, but she basically, that's her title, Creation. She can create things using the lipids from her body fat. They take a leadership role, her and Lita, to devise this plan about what they're going to do. But, they make astute observations before they go into this hellhole. And you might see this as, a chance opportunity where, okay, everyone's going to do something very predictable. But to my affection, they don't give Bakugo the benefit of the doubt. He does what Bakugo's going to do. He went up, he marched ahead and just said, screw it, I'm good, let's go. And to the naked eye, you might say, man, Bakugo still hasn't learned how to play well. But he didn't move till after every piece of information was decimated. Until the prologue was done, he didn't get up and move, you know. And shout out to all the people on Facebook watching. I can't see you guys because I'm drawing and you guys don't pop up on the stream. Facebook's a bunch of haters, but I see you guys out there watching with me and liking with me. But there was time at some point, I don't know what happened, but yeah, Bakugo didn't Bakugo was Bakugo, and I like that. But like to the naked eye, he was being brash, he was being irresponsible, but he did stay to get the information he needed in order to make his move. And once he knew what his plan was. He was gonna go up there and find Homeboy, and that was it. But obviously, if that was just a plan, this would be a very short story, and you know there would be no need for continuations. But that isn't the case, and sure enough, things got super real, like too real, and it's all part of their training. It's Aizawa and Nursery Girl out there, you know, watching them, and a chain of events basically happened that caused a few major players to go down, and these major players went down, and it makes it really hard for you don't know what's going to happen to these cats. Like, you're concerned. You're thoroughly concerned. You get to see a combination of their skills and powers being put together, but you're concerned about people's, like, livelihoods at this point. And I think they do, once again, great job making me feel scared for these people. And that's hard to do when you know that none of them are really in danger. So, with that being said, we're going to go into spoilers about this. I don't know how to timestamp stuff on Twitch, but basically what ended up happening. Did somebody write me? No, nobody wrote me. What am I thinking? It's 12 o'clock at night. No one's on Twitch right now. What basically ended up happening was, so everything went down in there at this place. They have to save one person, really. And that's sort of the conundrum there, because like it's the true hero aspects of each person kind of came to light, and their reasoning for it. So basically during this event, the building was basically blown up to pieces and collapsing. But a large part of the infrastructure was still in place to kind of keep things from falling completely over. And as they're making their way to try and get them, obviously they got split up in the beginning. That's the only issue I had with Bakugo's actions, because if they were all together, I don't think they run into this issue immediately, but then there's no tension. They are clearly stronger in numbers, so I don't want to take that away from them. I think that was a great idea, a great addition, but it was immediately apparent like that was a plot hole for me. Like, okay, I get it, but you know, let's get a little bit more creative with that. And then again, I couldn't think of anything better, so who am I to criticize, you know? But what ends up happening at this point is basically they get separated, and then another earthquake hits. And this is kind of like this was like sort of like interesting to me, because I was like, wow, another earthquake hit. And it wasn't even like, you know, what's going to happen next. Like, they get split up and divided so quickly, nothing could happen. It was all over within a matter of seconds. And that kind of gave me reason to pause, because when they got separated, it was like, okay, where's everybody at? And then major players go down. Lita gets hurt. He goes down. So immediately, I panic a little bit before him, because, you know, his thing is running and he's knocked out cold. So, I forgot about Tokoyami, who's with Todoroki. So these are the teams. It's Bakugo, Demki, Red Riot, and that's one team. Then it's Deku, Froppy, and U Gravity in a second group, and they are and then it's Lita and Creation, and then there's Todoroki and Tokoyami, and they're all partnered up to be with the most effective group possible, I think. So immediately, Tokoyami, immediately when the earthquake happens, they all have their conundrum. So Tokoyami and Todoroki, I find their interactions to be very complex, especially with the knowledge of what's going on in the manga right now, because Tokoyami, for all you guys that don't know, he basically has a power called Dark Shadow, which allows him to bring forth like a demon out of his body. But in the dark, that demon takes over his body. He can't control it. And he's basically in this underground basement where if he brings out Dark Shadow, even for a second, they're screwed because he can't control him in the dark. So there's that. But it's almost perfect because guess who he's tagged with? Todoroki. And Todoroki is half hot, half fire. I mean, half fire, half ice. So he has the perfect counter for this, because if Dark Shadow goes crazy, not a problem, boom, turn on the flames and he's back under control. But it's not that simple anymore because they're underground. And he immediately recognizes the faintness of his breath, so they're short on oxygen, which makes me immediately tense up because I'm like, wait a minute, this is no longer a kid's cartoon. They're actually having to think about, shit that might happen to them. So that's their conundrum. So they think to themselves, they just need to find someone else, and they both agree, all right, I won't turn on Dark Shadow as long as, and I won't turn on my flame because, we're trying to preserve and conserve energy. So that's one conundrum. Obviously, Lita's hurt and Creation's by herself. And there is a part of me that really wishes they build up on her, but her character arc is very simple. She's building her self-esteem. It's been the same since season 2, and I'm okay with that because once again, the manga really repays those people who stuck around to like see that through. So with that, I was like, okay, cool. She immediately goes looking for help, and it's Deku, Gravity, and Froppy. I want to call her Froggy, but I think her name's Froppy, but her name's Sue, really. She says that like 5 times, and that just becomes it becomes painfully like it's not like it was not to my aggression or anything. It's actually pretty funny because you hear it so many times, and then here I am still making the mistake. So she has a reason to keep repeating herself. Sue, and they end up getting in contact with Creation. The thing that kind of made everything fit for me was now what happens with the other team, Bakugo and them, because Bakugo and company went to go get the dummy, period. That he wants to win, so he's going to go win, and he's going to go for him to win, he has to get that body. And it's just like immediately when the earthquake happens, things go tragically wrong, and Demki starts to panic, and all of these things happen. But basically, a big part of at least 4 of them all said out loud, like, okay, this training exercise is over. This is just practice. Maybe something bad really did happen, and to see Lita actually go down and get physically hurt, it's like, okay, maybe we should, just try and get out, forget trying to save the dummy who isn't real. Demke's saying this, and let's just get out of here alive. And Bakugo's like, nah, we're going. Win, lose, or die, we're going. And I thought that this was really interesting because no matter who you are in the situation, you do look kind of bad if you're the hero in the situation, but you don't look horrible because like you don't know if this was arranged or not. And you never know, and that's sort of the point of the whole exercise. You expect the unexpected. Mission accomplished. But I agree wholeheartedly with Bakugo wanting to leave, but I don't knock anyone off for saying, let's get the injured out of here. this drill is over for me until my friends are safe. I don't knock anybody for taking that approach. But the first thing Bakugo does, and he's a thinker. He's one of the most he's one of the greatest tacticians in the show. He knows he has Demki with him. And that's low key why he didn't want Demki to leave, or they didn't want to turn around. Because if anyone else actually got hurt during that earthquake, they're in the dark and they can't see. Furthermore, it would have been a lot easier to find this dummy if the lights were on. So it's apparent to Bakugo this is a side quest for him at this point, but he has to restore the power. And this is a great character arc because it shows that Bakugo, no matter what, he's thinking about the big picture. And now they're trying to get Lita out of there, and they do it together. It's pretty formulaic at this point. You know, get Lita out, which was the new objective for them, and this was when things got kind of interesting. And I don't know, I wasn't paying attention too much to the translation as I was like the story plots, so I missed something. But when they get Lita out, and you know, they tell Aizawa like, hey look, you know, that earthquake happened, we are the only ones that got out, so you know, there might be other people trapped, and we should end this, and people are probably hurt. And you know, Aizawa goes cold-blooded. He straight up says, nah, we're not going to end this exercise. And that, as a hero, you have to expect the absolute worst. And there's a part of me that's like, you're right, but, man, you're literally looking at, like, if Lita's injury was significant, like, he needed, like, if he like needed like real medical attention, just not a stamina boost from medical girl, I think that would have been a little bit more telling. But because that didn't happen, I think it was on Aizawa. I was like, oh no, you got him out, didn't you? Good luck. But they all decided to go back in to go get the rest, and they kind of run into the crew. But what ends up then pushing this, and this is how the tension was building, what ended up happening next was basically basically water started filling from the bottom. So now it's a rush against time to get the person, because get the dummy. Actually, Bakugo and company actually did make it to the dummy in time, so they did get the dummy out. But This is neither here or there, because now this place is filling up with water, and there's a moment where like I'm like, okay, not a problem. Todoroki's here, and literally he shows up and he does exactly what I think he should do. He freezes all the water. Problem solved. No, problem's not solved, because this show is actually thinking about, you know, pressure gauges and just like. The fact that they even thought of like, oh no, if you plug up something that is trying to drain out, you're just going to increase the pressure. And they show the weakness and strength of Bakugo at the same time, with him thinking that, you know, he's going to be able to get out of this by himself. But, you know, Todoroki being smart, saying, yeah, I have to stay behind because actually, and there's a great part, I won't spoil that, I guess you guys can definitely watch that, but you know, Todoroki knows that he has to stay behind to keep this pressure on the geyser, so that's neither here or there, so he's doing that, and but Bakugo doesn't leave him, and it's just because, like, I don't know how, once again, this is reaching in my ideas, because Deku is running back, so the gravity and all of them meet up around the elevator. So Deku's going deeper to go get these guys. And I'm like, why is he coming? This story didn't need Deku in it, past him getting out the first time with his team. For him to go back is plot armor in my eyes, because they're gonna protect him, and they're gonna, the big three, they have to survive. It's pretty straightforward. It's shonen writing at its best. But I think they would have been better off if Deku didn't go back, and they kind of made it a situation where, because when they were outside, Izawa, I believe, and this is the part I'm not sure about, but I believe Nursery Girl, Recovery Girl, I called her Nursery Girl earlier, said something along the lines, this is too tough, this is too much, and he says he has a contingency plan. So there's a part of me that's like, somewhere hidden in the show, do we see, is there another hero roaming around down there? Because at the end of the show, no one comes out. But then again, I watched it on like YouTube, so I probably didn't see the full ending. Like, did he have a real contingency plan? Like, somebody tell me, and put that in the comment section below, because I was pretty interested to see, like, dang, like, what are they going to do next? And basically what they were going to do to get out of this, as Bakugo and Shoto were waiting for the pressure to hit critical, is basically, and Deku ended up meeting them there. So it's all three of them, and they all coming to this contingency plan. All right, look, I'm going to freeze this, and then Deku's going to beat up the base and force us to be projected like a geyser, to which then Bakugo's going to blow the ceilings off until they get to the top. This plan is the most illogical thing I've ever heard in my life, because there's nothing stopping them from, releasing a little bit of pressure and just going up level by level. And if the water catches up to them, freeze it again and go level by. But that's not action packed. But this right here just seemed like, for all the things that they came up with to build tension, I didn't feel that this was the tense part. This wasn't tense to me. This was just like, this was very bullish writing in my eyes. I would have loved to see a way more creative climax, especially for this to be a episode that there was no fighting. You get to see some special effects, but even like the graphical capacity to do technical stuff was limited, because I feel like, once again, there's no animation to garner it. So this is more of a tense filled, story building, let your writers have some fun. And I feel like at the last minute, to try and give the people action, they took the floor from the writers, and they suffered for it a little bit. But all's well ends well. Everyone gets out, they hug and freeze frame real quick.